The startup world. The weekend was all about Google versus Indian startups. The tech giant on Saturday delisted apps from 10 Indian developers over billing row. However, the government's stance is clear. Delisting cannot be permitted. Google has already restored apps on its Play Store. But what does Google's terms mean for Indian developers? What is the long-term solution the ecosystem is hoping for? To discuss this and more, joining me now are the founders of some of the apps that were delisted. I'm now joined by founders of some of the apps, again, that were delisted, like Lalchan Bisu of Cucko FM, Ravi Mittal of QuackQuack, and Vinit Singhal of Stage. Also with me is my colleague Arundhati. Gentlemen, welcome to Startup Street. Let me start with you, Vinay. IT and Telecom Minister Ashwini Vaishnav held a meeting a few hours ago with Google's delisted app founders. You were in the meeting, Vinay. What has been the outcome? What was discussed? And I believe Stage has been restored on the consumption model. I believe Vinay is disconnected. Ravi, let me put across the same question to you. The meeting happened a couple of hours ago. What was the outcome? And again, you've also been listed back. You've been restored. The app has been restored on the consumption model. What has been the outcome of the meeting?
I was unfortunately not part of the meeting. I think Vinay can tell you more about that. But we are back on the App Store because Google has put a gun to our head, and we had to agree to their terms because being on the App Store is critical for our business. So yes, we had to agree to their terms. And if someone is claiming, or if Google is claiming that they have done this after the government's order or something, I think that is a wrong presumption. We are back because we had to bow down and accept Google's terms at the moment.
All right, Lal, let me come to you then. You have called Google evil. Cucko FM was delisted in 2019 as well. So what kind of drop in registrations have you seen since the delisting? And how has this hurt business in a way? Lal, you're on mute, so it would be great if you could unmute the button, press the unmute button.
Sorry.
Yeah, great.
Yes. So Google control everything in our internet system. So they have like Android, like in India, 97% people are using Android today. And Google have Play Store. They are not allowing other Play Store to distribute the app. So now they have everything in their control. Now they are allowing any app to be there or not to be there. It is their decision. So like recently what happened, like they are pushing that if you are distributing our app through Play Store, now you have to pay this 15% to 30% of your revenue to the Google. And that's like so dangerous for Indian startup ecosystem that a lot of companies will die, because either you have to increase the price. If you are increasing the price, then a lot of Indians will not be able to afford, or you have to pay part of your revenue. So your unit economics will not make sense. So it is like, and it is only like Google is pushing because we don't have any other option. So a lot of startups have to like follow their terms or have to die. Like there is no other option.
Absolutely. And let me go across to Ravi. Similar question to you. What kind of impact has the delisting caused on the business?
See, on a daily basis, we used to get about 25,000 app downloads only on Android. 90% of our user base is on Android because we cater to very small cities and towns in India. And post delisting, in the last 4 days, we have seen about 80% of our revenue, which has dropped. And from daily registrations of about 18 to 20,000, it has dropped down to merely 500 to 600 registrations per day. So definitely, it's a huge impact on how we run a business.
Sure. Picking up from what Lal was just mentioning, and this question is for you, Lal, in India, Google allows app developers to sell in-app content only on the precondition that its own payment system, GBPS, is integrated as a payment option within their apps. Now, this is in stark contrast with its position in the 30 countries that are part of the European Economic Area and the United Kingdom. So, of course, apart from being restored, what is the long-term ask? How do you plan to challenge this anti-competitive practice?
At the end, this is payment gateway. Like you have app, and now if you are making revenue, you have to put some payment gateway on your app to charge users. What Google is doing, Google is forcing that you don't use any other payment gateway. You have to use Google Play billing, and I will take 15 to 20% charge. And now after pushing like CCI, allowed UCB. UCB is user choice billing system, where we can use other payment gateway, but we have to again like pay 15 to 30% to the Google. So like till 2020, it was a like kind of free market, and we can use any payment gateway, and like the charges was around like 0.5 to 2%. Now Google is pushing to use their payment gateway and pay them like around 15%. That is not unacceptable. That how someone can take like and push that on to use only one payment gateway.
Right. Vinay, you've managed to lock back in. So if I can bring you into the conversation, can you tell us how can the government protect the interests of these Indian startups? What is the long-term solution that you're hoping for?
Thank you for having me on your show. Thank you. I think what we are looking for is the immediate short-term relief that we need is business continuity. All of us are out of the Play Store. Our businesses are on hold completely since last 4 days. And so we need our apps to be restored back. We need Google to essentially restore the status quo as it was on Friday morning. And all of us need to be back on the App Store. In the long term, we are really hoping for the government to bring the legislation to, stop any large monopoly players to essentially, use their monopoly to try and extort money in a way where they can charge up to 30%, of a business's revenue. This 30% basically means that our businesses can die any second, and if you're not restored back on the Play Store, our businesses will actually die within the next couple of weeks. So the immediate ask that we had from the government was to get in and help us restore the status quo and get us relisted back on the Play Store.
Vinay, I was asking you and then you got logged off. You were part of the meeting. IT and Telecom Minister Ashwini Vaishnav held a meeting a few hours ago with the founders of the delisted apps. What has been the outcome of the meeting, and what demands will be met?
I think the government has been very responsive and very supportive on the entire matter. Frankly, it was so heartening to see the IT minister coming on a weekend, giving a statement and saying that the Indian startups will be protected no matter what. It was very reassuring and it kind of gave us a lot of confidence. Today also, he gave us a lot of ample amount of time. He heard the entire matter in detail, and he was very thorough and understanding of the issue, I think. And what he has said is that let us review everything that you told us, all the facts that you told us. We will go back to Google after understanding the matter in detail and then see what best we can do. He assured that government will do everything possible to basically support the Indian startup ecosystem.
So the government saying that they will do anything to support the startup ecosystem. But Ravi, if I could bring you back into the conversation, your views on how the big techs need to be restrained and controlled. Sanjeev Bikhchandani had said that we need an app for Bharat. PhonePe just launched its Indus app. Would you be willing to leave Google Play Store and perhaps join PhonePe?
See, reinventing the wheel here is not the solution. If there is an East India company, we don't build another East India company. We fight it, and we fight for the justice. And that is what we need here. The short-term solution is that the apps get restored. The mid-term and the long-term solution is we have regulations and rules in place so that these monopolies don't get a chance to crumple startups and even establish businesses. If you see, there are many IPO companies who are, running on an app model. And the moment Google or Apple intervene and, they take down these applications, the whole economies can come to standstill. So regulation is probably the only long-term answer to the solution.
I get that. And let me now ask Lal and Vinay, both of you all as well, on the same question. How do we restrain these big tech, the big boys? And, like my colleague mentioned that, Sanjeev Bikhchandani said that there is a need for an app for Bharat. We've got PhonePe that recently launched Indus app. Similar question, would you be willing to leave Google Play Store and perhaps join PhonePe? Or what else needs to be done?
So first, I think, see, it's not about leaving one and going to the other, and we don't mind. The problem is that there is no, from the outside, it looks all great that we have a new app store, Indus App Store, etc. But do you know what is the process of downloading an Indus App Store? Google makes it almost impossible for you to have another, app downloaded on your phone, leave it, and if it's an app store, it just makes it even more impossible. You have to download an APK. The APK, Google shows 10 warnings before you can actually install that on your phone. And then even after that, when you install any app from that app store, there are still lots of security warnings that are shown. So like Ravi said, the idea is not just to sift from one app store to the other. The idea is that if someone controls 96% market share, they are a monopoly by definition.
Yes.
And so regulation needs to come in, and they need to be regulated, and they need to basically create the regulation needs to come in, and the authorities need to create a level playing field for everyone to be in the market.
Okay.
It's not just about apps on the Google Play. The problem is that Google does not even allow for any other app store to thrive for that matter. And Indus OS is going to find it really, really difficult to scale and be a real alternative to everybody else. So we need regulations, and we need to, fight against the big tech.
Okay, of course we need regulations. And before we wrap up, I want to put across Google's blog that it posted on March 1st, and it said that Google's tiered pricing programs benefit Indian developers. Well, only 3% of developers in India sell digital goods and services, and therefore need to pay a service fee. The vast majority of whom pay 15% or less is the lowest of any major global app store. The blog also highlighted that in India, less than 60 developers on Google Play are subject to fees above 15%. So if 15% is too high, Vinay, Lal, then what is right? What is the person that you're willing to pay?
Yeah, so this is very misleading statement actually. 3%. So what Google is doing now, they are playing divide and rule in the country. So first they are going after the digital products. So digital products are like who are selling content on the platform, like OTT platforms or entertainment platforms, or if there is any game kind of thing. So these are digital goods. So they are saying that now we are only charging these digital companies, or these are companies only 3%. They will go after then other companies. And actually on Google Play Store, it is always power law. Like they are going after the majority of the companies, and that is something that is like that this will hurt to the companies. And like behind the scene, they are providing equally infra to all the apps. Like we are using Play Store to list the app. All the other apps like Amazon, Zomato, Swiggy, everyone using the same infra. We are also, digital good companies are also using the same infra. But they are charging that we are only putting charge on the digital goods company. That is very misleading statement from Google.
Bisu is saying here, first of all, what is the difference between those 3% and 97%, right? Why only those 3% companies will pay a 30% or a 15% versus those 90% won't? How is Amazon using Google Play Store infrastructure less versus a Stage or a Cucko or a QuackQuack? That we will pay a 15% fee on our revenue, but Amazon won't, Uber won't, Spotify won't, and whatnot, right? Second question, if then Google comes back and says that we are providing you a payment gateway service, and so we are charging you a payment gateway fee here. Let me tell you, the current payment gateway fee that we pay is 0.25%. The maximum that any player pays out there is 2% in India. No payment gateway charges you more than 2% on your transactions. And Google comes back and says that 15% is lowest by any standard in versus any app store in the world, because there are only 2 app stores which are there, which basically control almost 100% market share in the world, Apple and Google, and both of them essentially have followed each other's policy, and both of them are charging 30%. So it's misleading in many ways that they're charging this, and then they're claiming that 15% is less by any standard. It's 0.25% against 15% and 30% if you were to compare apple to apple.
Right. So, Vinay, you're saying that this is a very misleading statement to give. All right, Lal, Ravi, Vinay, thank you so much for joining us on the show today, but we're completely out of time, and thank you for decoding this for us.
Thank you.
Okay, we have to take a short break on that note, but up next, that Ministry of Electronics and IT clarifying the AI advisory is only applicable to large companies, not startups. But what does it mean for the larger ecosystem? We'll analyze that after this break.